Hello viewers, it has been a long time. Far longer, in fact, than I had ever anticipated that I'd be taking a break from publishing this series. There have been birthdays, vacations, work changes, and a few other problems that I've had to dedicate my limited time and effort to. And then, I recorded 42 hours of footage for episode 5, only to find that at some point the audio stopped recording and it was all essentially useless. So here we are, back at the backup somewhere shortly after the end of episode 4. At around this stage of the last episode, I had asked the question, should I stay or should I go? The ultimate goal, of course, is to get to the alien planet and establish a base there. But I could accomplish that from the base in space, Grayskull. Probably. I had a lot of time to think about it. Ultimately, I've decided to stick it out and hopefully even bring Assert and Ember to their knees. Since I published episode 4, many changes have been made to the modular counter system and Assertive, with most of the functionality being rolled into the Assertive Combat Systems mod. It will be interesting to see how that affects this playthrough. So, I've decided to build a ship. The ship of ships. The ship that every young player of a space-based game has yearned for years. The Elite Anaconda. I'm not that great at building ships, to be honest, so I'm going to be using a blueprint that I've modified in creative mode. At the appropriate time, Future Maniac will go over the ships with you, highlighting the changes. I'm going to have to build one heck of a welding rig to make it work though. Before all that, I need to repair the mining ship I have here, the cow, collect some resources, and talking of resources, I need to grind down as many of these wrecks around here as possible, as they're just killing the performance of my machine. I'm going to need a welding wall to rebuild my support ships from the blueprints I've shaved, so without further ado, and from my perspective once again, let's get into it with a time lapse. Oops. Okay, no idea why.
Inventory full. Inventory full. Inventory full.
I'm gonna have to check which ammo I've got. base from shooting things, wasting my ammo. Oops. Once again, done that. Oh dear. I think I just blew up half my ship. Ooh. See if I can get it back to the welding wall. Probably not. Probably not. That didn't go well. Okay. Back to the drawing board, or at least back to the welding wall. say that that is the first phase more or less done. I totally want to keep that one over there as a monument for now, anyway. But yeah, that's cleaned up. I'm off to bed. Continue this later. So I'm back after some rest and my new workflow. So I've decided to record a session, then immediately edit it. That way I don't end up with 40-something hours of footage that I have to then edit, which takes forever, and then you find out that it's corrupted and it has to get tossed and you start over, and here we are. Anyway, so what did we do in the last session? Let's see. Well, we didn't actually fix the cow because it was already fixed and it was just done off camera at this point, and we collected magnesium and etc. So, but we did definitely build a welding wall, and we built a pretty fantastic support ship to do grinding, and we cleared away the wrecks. So now we're down to building the welding rig for this Anaconda build, and I suppose that also means I'm gonna have to defer to future past Maniac and actually show you what we're doing. Yeah, so that's maybe, I mean, this might be a good time for that. We'll see. Future editor Maniac will make that decision. So right now what I'm going to do is figure out where I'm going to build it. Let's see. Well, we've got access there. Where's the space? I think over here might be the best. And I can use this cargo container. Or even the stuff down there. Maybe not. This thing's pretty big. I think I'll build it off the back here. Ooh. Yep, forgot to turn the dampness back on. So there are a lot of holes down here. Let's just pop up. There we go. There's a lot of holes, a lot of wreckage. It's just, and of course our monument. Something over here is still...
Inventory full.
There we go. And I think what we're going to do is build a rig that essentially is built on a rail, because this thing is huge. So let's start with that. At this point, I started waffling on about something, so let's hand it over to Future Past Maniac to describe the two ships.
Thank you, Past Future Maniac. The new one is on the left, old one on the right, and as you can see, the new one has more guns and hydrogen engines, which are crucial for planetary operations. So as we go into the bridge, which on the old ship is the only access to the ship. So that's where the only door is, and as you can see, this bridge is very Spartan. There's a lot of space, but only one chair. Not really very bridge-like, certainly not like the Anaconda of Elite Dangerous. So compare that to the new bridge, where we've added a couple more chairs, including a weapons chair and an operations chair. There's a lot of turret controllers, some display screens, and as you can see all the guns out there. There's also the NPC crew mod, which gives me engineering and combat operations NPCs. So now we go down to the second deck, and this is where the cargo is. In the old ship, this is just 4 large cargo containers. Not very exciting, but certainly functional. And as we go to the new version, now we see there's instead a medical room, and there's also a helm down there that is out of view. So if something happens on the bridge, I have a way to control it. There's also access to the bridge, so the ship is now accessible. And as you see, now there's 2 industrial refineries. So now into the engine room, and there's actually 8 large reactors. So there's 4 on each side. And if you compare that to our new version here, it's actually just 3, so actually 6 large hydrogen tanks here, and 1 large reactor on each side, and it provides plenty of power. Obviously everything in the new ship is conveyed. So this is the main corridor, and as you can see, nice wide open space, absolutely beautiful, but there's some of the only conveying in the entire ship. And we go into the new one, and before we even get to that corridor, here's some of the empty space that has been filled with O2H2 generators and cargo containers and crew space, bathrooms, oxygen tanks. So trying to make much better use of the space. So get into that corridor, and here we are into that main corridor. Now that you see there are 4 full refineries and a lot of O2H2 generators and assemblers in here. So from that little bit of conveying there, we go up to the main, what I would call the front observation deck, or the forward observation deck. As you can see in the new version, it's a lot tighter. There's actually a couple of extra hydrogen engines in there, but now we have an ore detector, some seats for passengers, and more conveying. Moving on back. So back towards that main corridor again. And down here we have what I believe on this ship is some of the only O2H2 generators and oxygen tanks. Here's a hangar bay that doesn't really go anywhere. There's not much space for bringing in a ship, and I really don't know what to call this, except maybe it reminds me of office cubicles. It's just a lot of dead space that I guess somebody needed to put something there for whatever reason. Now the same view on the new ship, what I call the Mark 1. As you see, the whole ship is conveyed. And there are batteries. the same O2H2 generators and oxygen tanks. But now we get to the piece de resistance. As you may have just seen, there's a hangar bay. And currently in that hangar bay is a ship that I was testing out. But as you can see, that it's conveyored. There's the doors. They are wider. It's actually 2 blocks wider. But now you can get a ship in and dock it with the Anaconda. This is just some more of that dead space. And back to the main corridor again. So in the new version, however, there's a medical room. There's what I would call the life support area, O2H2 generators, another medical room. So here back on the old ship, the old version, we have the gyroscopes. And then back out towards the bridge, and to take a look at what's under the bridge, what I would call the mezzanine deck. As you can see, it's empty. There's nothing there. There's just some a few conveyors and cargo containers so that you can supply the guns and missile turrets on top of the ship, on the dorsal of the ship. But then that's all you've got there. Now on the mezzanine deck in the new version, however, there are 8 jump drives and a plethora of timer blocks and programmable blocks. So this is really kind of the kind of a secondary engineering bay, or whatever you might want to call that. It's everything's conveyored, and yet there's still room to do anything you might want. So the Mark 1 also has guns, lots of guns. And actually, this is actually an old version, but and also missile launchers, and that's a lot of damage. So I hope you enjoyed this tour. Future, past, present Maniac, back to you.
With the welding rig built, episode 5 comes to a close. Next time, we'll start printing off the Anaconda, and I'm sure there will be shenanigans galore as I realise my mistakes. I'm certain there will be many. There are still problems to solve, assertive bases to hit, and an escape to make. All of that is to come in the next episodes of My First Survival. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.